Hey there. It's me, Eden. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and visit my Patreon page for early access, link in the comment, thanks. Des drove us down to LA the next day. On the way down he asked me if I had plans to get another car. I smiled and said mischievously, "Don't you like my old Subaru?" "It's not that I don't like it. It's just not fitting for a star of your stature to be driving around in an old car like this, even if it is a good disguise. I'm surprised that the tabloids haven't made an issue of it. You live in a house that puts some royal palaces to shame, and yet you ride around in an old car that can't carry more than 4 people. When you have friends over and need to go somewhere, we have to go in 2 cars. You should have your own limo." I sighed. "You're right, of course. I've steadfastly resisted being caught up in the whole movie star scene, even though the house really puts me in there, but I guess that I should get a more prestigious car for special occasions. Okay, after the signing is over we'll stop at a couple of dealerships. Have you been looking around? I've picked up a few brochures from time to time. What do you recommend? For 8 to 12 person limos, I know of places that do custom 70-inch or 120-inch stretch conversions on Mercedes, Cadillacs, and Lincolns. I think that the smaller 70-inch conversion, with a rear-facing seat would be sufficient. That'll give you 6 seats in the rear and room for 2 more passengers in the front. For a standard car from stock, either Mercedes or BMW would be a lot more prestigious than a Subaru. My dad was going to look into having the Rolls-Royce and the old Cadillac fixed up, but I never heard back from him. Do you know of anybody who does that kind of specialty work? Not offhand, but I'll look into it. We arrived at the agency a few minutes later than expected, but in plenty of time to make it to the restaurant before noon. In the company limo, Mr. Daniels said, "I spoke to the movie company about you having approval rights over the filming of the partial nudity scene." As I expected, they agreed. They'd like to have a signing ceremony next week. I'll call you as soon as it's set up. Okay, Mr. Daniels. Jennifer was waiting at the restaurant with the representatives of the movie company. We had lunch first in a private room, then talked a little about the movie as the room was cleaned by the restaurant staff. The members of the press who had decided to attend were then invited in to watch the signing and ask questions. We were all done by 2 o'clock and on our way back to the agency building where my car was parked. We said goodbye to Mr. Daniels, and Des drove us back towards the estate. We got off the Ventura Freeway near Van Nuys and Des drove us to a Mercedes dealership where he parked the Subaru in front of the building. There were several salesmen inside the glass-enclosed showroom and they watched us as we got out of the car. As we entered the showroom, they all turned away from us so that we couldn't catch their eye. I guess that they figured that there wasn't any business to be had from someone driving a 7-year-old Subaru. Des and I wandered around the showroom looking at the cars displayed there. They were pretty, but a bit small, and there wasn't really all that much more room in them than my Subaru. There were a couple of station wagons and SUVs, but if I was going to spend $150,000, it wasn't going to be for a station wagon or a truck. I wanted a proper sedan. I wondered if there might be a large sedan model that wasn't on display, so I approached the group of 3 salesmen and said, "Excuse me, could we get a little help?" I wasn't disguised, but I was wearing sunglasses. One of the salesmen immediately said, "Sorry, I'm on break now," and walked away. Another said, "I have to make a phone call," and walked away also. The last one, who hadn't been as quick as his friends, sighed and said, "Okay, what is it?" I was wondering if you had any larger model sedans that aren't on display. No, that's the entire lineup. I thought that Mercedes made big cars and limos. What we've got is on display. That's all there is, lady. Okay, thank you. I walked back over to Des. This is all there is. I heard. It's a good thing that you went over. If he had spoken to me like that, he'd have to go to the dentist for a new set of caps. I smiled. Let's just go. Take your satisfaction in the fact that he's probably losing about $2,000 in commissions. We got back in the Subaru and drove a little further north. Spotting a BMW dealership, Des pulled in and parked right in front of the showroom window. Just like at the Mercedes dealership, there were several salespeople in the showroom as we got out of the car and walked inside. The salesman didn't deliberately turn away, but no one came over to us as we walked around looking at the cars. They just sort of watched us out of the corners of their eyes. After looking over all the cars, I went back to the 750iL sedan. I liked it better than any of the Mercedes sedans that we had looked at, although it didn't seem much larger. Des came over, and seeing my interest, climbed into the driver's seat. Out of the corner of my eye I saw the three salesmen flip coins at the same time. Two smiled, and the loser shrugged before coming over. As he reached us he put on a big smile and said to Des, "Good afternoon, folks. Shopping for a car?" "Better talk to the boss," Des said, indicating me with his thumb. Not missing a beat, the salesman said to me, "You know, we have some great used cars available. The prices are half what a new car will run. I think that a new car would suit us better." "How does it feel, Des?" "It feels great in here. I'd like to see how it handles on the road." Looking back to the salesman I said, "What options are available on this model?" The salesman opened the back door and took out a sales brochure that was on the rear seat and handed it to me. "This is the top of the sedan class. Pretty much everything is standard. You can get brake-resistant glass though, and/or Contour sports seats." I had started looking through the brochure. What would be the complete cost with the special glass, prep charges, shipping and destination charges, and anything else that gets added in before you arrive at the real price? The salesman took out his calculator and punched in a few numbers. "Would you be trading in your present car?" He smirked a little as he said it. "No." "Then the price is $96,175. You know, I have some nice used cars for as little as $20,000. Would you like to come take a look with me?" "No." I didn't like the smug look on his face. "I'll give you $95,000 total for this car model with the anthracite metallic exterior, black leather interior, and brake-resistant glass, if Des is happy with the ride. Do you have one in stock?" He stopped smirking immediately. "I think so, but I'd have to check with my manager about the price." "Do you, have financing arranged already?" "No." "Well, if your credit is good, we can arrange financing for you within 20 minutes. "I don't need any financing. I'll be paying by check or credit card if you prefer." The salesman was squirming a little now. You have a credit card with a $95,000 upper limit?" "No, there's no upper limit." I'll be right back." The salesman hurried to an office at the back of the showroom area. I went back to looking through the brochure while I waited. A couple of minutes later the salesman returned with an older-looking man. "This is my manager, Mr. Purvis. He says that we do have the model that you're looking for in stock. It has the color scheme that you want and has the brake-resistant glass." "And is my offer accepted?" Mr. Purvis said, "I understand that you're offering $95,000 in check or credit card for the vehicle?" "Yes, whichever you prefer." "I'll accept your offer with the understanding that it doesn't include insurance or taxes, which were not included in Michael's quotation. Your check will be fine." "Miss Ramsey, isn't it?" "Yes, I'm Miss Ramsey." "It's an honor to serve you, Miss Ramsey." "I'm a fan." I hope that Michael was attentive and courteous. I looked at the salesman. He knew that he hadn't been very courteous. Yes, fine, thank you. Infinitely better than at the Mercedes dealership a few blocks down the road. The Mercedes dealership? Yes. We stopped there first to buy a car, but they wouldn't even talk to me. So we drove along looking for another dealership, and that's how we found you. They wouldn't even talk to you? No. They acted like I was wasting their time and tried to ignore me. I'm glad that your salespeople aren't the kind who have to flip a coin to see who has to go wait on the customers. The salesman's eyes had grown very large by now, while Mr. Purvis' eyes had narrowed as he looked at Michael. If you'll come with me, Miss Ramsey, I'll write up the paperwork for your new car. We can prepare it and deliver it to your estate tomorrow. An hour later we were back on the road and heading for home. I was $95,000 poorer, but it will be nice to have my first ever new car. Since I had earlier in the day signed a movie contract for $12 million, I could certainly afford the car, and I looked on it as an early Christmas present to myself. The car was delivered the following afternoon. I signed the receipt form and received the keys. Another employee of the dealership had driven up to bring the driver back, and the agency had already had the car registered for me. Mom came out of the house to see the new car and we decided to go for a ride. I knew that Des would drive most of the time, but for the first ride I took the wheel. With Mom in the passenger seat and Des in the back, I drove up to Santa Barbara and returned. The car was a dream to drive. It was quiet, with almost no outside road noises noticeable, and the stereo had a wonderful sound. When we arrived home, Des put the car away in the garage while Mom and I went inside. Des would arrange to have a transmitter to open the front gate, built into the dash. The following week we again traveled down to Mr. Daniels' office so that we could drive to the signing ceremony for the other movie. It seemed that each signing ceremony was larger than the last, and this one was the most attended so far. I answered questions about myself for almost 20 minutes after we inked the paperwork. Most of the reporters wanted to know intimate details, but I had learned how to avoid answering such questions without appearing too rude or getting angry as I had in Vancouver. After the press conference part of the ceremony was over, we returned to the agency in the limo. Mr. Daniels said on the way back, "I just got a new script that I think that you're going to like." "What kind of movie is it?" "It's a romantic comedy adventure set in Europe." "Is it being shot in Europe?" "Mainly in England, with locations in 5 countries." "How much of a break would I get after the movie that we signed for today?" "I'd want at least a month." "Actually, it's being filmed before it. They want to start shooting in June." "June? We may not even be finished with the Sunken Treasure movie in the Caribbean. You should be done in May, and they'll adjust the shooting schedule to shoot around you if you're still involved." "I don't think so. It doesn't give me any time off between movies. I know that you only wanted to do 2 movies a year now, but this is a great script. Why don't you take a look at it before deciding?" "I don't think that I should. I need time between movies to recharge my batteries. It wasn't too bad when I was only a supporting actress, but as the lead, it's too much to finish one movie and start right in on another. That's why they don't pay supporting actresses $15 million for each picture." 15? Yes. Even though it's a much shorter schedule than the Virginia movie? That's the price that I quoted, and they didn't hesitate to agree. I had told them that you were already committed to 2 other films, but they want you for the lead. Your co-star will be Cole Griffith." "Cole Griffith?" Mr. Daniels nodded. I hadn't seen Cole since the party following the premiere of A Promise of Spring, my first movie. "How's Cole doing?" "Not too good. As you probably know, his last 2 films bombed. If this one isn't successful, he'll have trouble getting any leading roles in an A-class picture and may even have trouble getting supporting roles. He needs a winner badly right now. The producers know that you and he worked well together in your only movie together. I like Cole, and I enjoyed working with him, even when I was freezing in New York City. Then this would be your chance to help him out. His career hasn't progressed like yours. His salary for the picture is only about a third of what they're offering for you. Cole helped me get my start and I'd like to help him get re-established, if I could. Oh, okay. Send me the script and I'll read it. Mr. Daniels called his office and his secretary was waiting by the BMW with the script when we arrived 5 minutes later. I took it and told him that I'd let him know in a few days. On the way home we stopped to visit Sharon and the twins. I knew that she'd be home because I had called her yesterday and been invited to drop over today. Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access. Link in the comment, thanks.